suspense about the go live. Go live. We are live. And I apologise if anyone else is hearing this delay. I can't hear it at all. Everything looks and sounds good to me. And welcome, Nicola.
Hi, it's great to be here, Sarah.
I have to remember to give a little bit of a delay to let you answer. Would you like to introduce yourself? A lot of people come and watch this on the replay. They don't always watch live because of the timing.
Yeah, so I'm Nicola Mercer. I'm a transformational health coach, and I founded Life Now Coaching about 20 months ago. So just over a year and a half ago. I'm in the UK, but I work virtually with people around the world as well as in person where I live. I'm on the northeast coast of England, as some of you might be able to tell from my accent. I live near Newcastle. Yeah. And I help mainly women in business or who are running their own businesses to know their self-worth and build their self-belief by taking better care of themselves. And I focus on unwrapping what health really means, because I know, especially as women, we have a belief that health is primarily about a diet, the food that you eat, and going to the gym. And I'm unwrapping that that isn't what health is about, and why you should be prioritizing your health at every season of your life, especially if you're running your own business.
Wow, that's amazing. So, I had so many questions going through my head as you were speaking. I guess the first question I had was, how do people figure out that they need you in their lives?
Oh, no, that is a good question, because I think that's been a bit of a challenge, in all honesty, as a business owner. And I know I'm speaking mainly to people who are also running their own businesses, because, we focus on our ideal client and our message and how we connect with people. And in everything I've done and learned, and the clients I have worked with, and kind of other research, I know that a lot of people want to feel better, that they're really struggling day to day in their lives. They know they aren't happy. They feel as though their life is ticking away very fast. They feel overwhelmed. Some are hitting burnout, but they aren't aware of the impact of their overall health, mental and physical health, on the way that they feel. And so for a lot of people, they aren't, having that penny drop moment of, oh, I need a health coach because I know I need to focus, across a whole person approach on my health. They're very stuck in, oh, I'm stressed, I need to stop feeling stressed, or, oh, I'm, feeling really tired and I know I'm a bit overweight, or I'm not exercising enough, or I'm not sleeping enough. So they focus on one thing. And one of the challenges but opportunities that I have is to help people to understand what a health coach does, but why you need a health coach, or why you, if you want to do it on your own, need to take that holistic approach to your health. Because your question about why do people know that they, or how would they know that they need me, is one that I think is a society, and in most of our cultures globally, we're not fully there yet. I think there's a lot of awareness if you're already in this kind of sector, or you're into well-being and health. You can see how it's all linked and how it impacts the way you feel and your happiness. But I'd say for the majority of people, we haven't evolved to that point generally, as individuals and as a society. So, that's part of my mission that I've really taken on board, because I have a big vision about normalising healthy habits, so our kids grow up knowing their worth and how to take care of themselves. That's my ultimate reason for doing what I'm doing. But I know that as a shift change, there's a lot to happen to get to that point.
Yeah, so like more questions. What would you say? Like you mentioned holistic. Like where are we now? Like why are we stuck in an approach that isn't holistic? Like why is taking care of your body, going to the gym and eating the right things, why is that not enough?
So, we've grown up, I'm in my late 40s, I've grown up where I wasn't taught at school about taking care of yourself, even from a physical point of view. Back in my day, and I think because I've got a 15-year-old daughter and I see, what the education system's still like for her. Certainly for me, it was about PE, physical education. You did maybe once or twice a week, but it explained why you were doing it. It was just another one of those lessons that you had.
Yeah.
And then subsequently you leave school, even in further education, there's just no focus, or certainly wasn't in, like I say, when I was at school for my generation, on moving your body being a general part of what you do whilst you're still in education. If you went into a degree or other type of qualification that was sports related, then yes, obviously you were part of sports. The US, I think, has been a bit different, but come at it from a different place, probably more competitive, that they do really embed
Yeah.
sports into their further
Yeah.
education system. And it's a big part of it, but it isn't done from a place of, we are doing this because as you age, as you move through life, you are going to perform better, to feel better, to, be more fulfilled, to overall feel stronger in yourself and capable and so on. So it isn't done from that place. It's just
No.
kind of a necessity, or maybe, so I think the grassroots is really where I'm getting at with this. And I know this because I spent 20 years working for Nike, that we've got to shift the perception of what health is, which is what I'm trying to help with, at that grassroots level. And that's why my big vision is about normalizing healthy habits for kids. And I know women have such a huge, impactful role in society with driving change. Any change, really. If you look back in history, women are such a part of so many changes, whether it's political, whether it's health, whether it's, in our culture and work and economy and things like that. So yeah, it's a bit of a kind of, deep answer, but I think
Mm.
ultimately we've just evolved where it was, something that was done because it was part of the education system. It wasn't necessarily part of life. Physical activity is part of life if you enjoyed competitive sports, playing or spectating. But there was never any awareness building about what that then did to the rest of your health. And certainly from a health perspective and science perspective as well, it's only very recent that they're starting to research and uncover and produce findings about the mind body connection, because that they've always been treated in isolation, and mainstream still are. For many people, when you go to the doctors, if you have something mentally wrong but you also have something physically wrong, the two are married up and considered by most doctors, about whether there's some connection, and one's causing the other, or one's exasperating the other. So yeah, we're still evolving, but there's, I'm excited because there's lots of evidence now being shared about the mind body connection and about this whole person holistic. And that's what I mean when I say holistic. It's just, taking an umbrella approach to your health and well-being, rather than looking at things very, segregated as we have done.
Mm. It's interesting. I think I never thought about why I hated sports in school. And I mean, there were many reasons. There was a lot of emphasis on competitiveness, and I'm just not a competitive person. Um, and it was always, like the cool kids that got to be team captains. There was just a lot. There was no kind of. It's very different from, I think, how they teach it in America, basically. There was none of this,
Yeah.
like, building you up and you're a champion and you're number one and you can do anything. And, like all the kind of Nike messages. That just wasn't. That's not British. But yeah, it's interesting.
And
I
it still
hadn't put my
isn't.
finger
Yeah.
on it. No. And it was just, like you
Yeah.
said, something you had to just get through or get a sick
Yeah.
note.
Yeah. And even now, sports is the first thing to drop off the agenda, when there's a need for the hall to be used to practice a play, or they're bringing parents in to do something, or, another event. Schools just drop sports straight away, and it's not replaced with any other kind of movement that might not be the usual playing sports outside or in the hall, but it just goes, and that just shows, the lack of awareness and direction that we have towards helping our kids to grow up. And we're focusing here on physical movement, but it's the same with all health and well-being related things. We're not taught as children that it's okay to have emotions that go up and down and we feel different. We're not taught how to care for ourselves and be compassionate, and why that's important. And those other things are very, very important to our overall physical and mental health. So there's just so much that's missed. So the power of habits, which is what we're talking about today, is
Yeah.
immense. So when you aren't brought up with those kinds of habits as part of who you are and your lifestyle, then it's very normal when you're 25 or 40 to just not think about it, and to only do the things that you've heard in the media.
I'm thinking, like, when in primary school, they kind of start off on the right foot. You have music and movement. We had this lovely gym where you climbed ropes, and there was all different kinds of things to jump over and hoops and whatever. And in music and movement, you would like pretend to be a tree or an elephant or whatever and sway to, and it was all very kind of like full body experience. And the gym sessions were quite fun, and they were very kind of free play, and you just wait your turn to get on the next thing. And then I think it's when you get to secondary school that it all goes out the window. And for me, it wasn't until I was in my 20s when I joined, this is funny, it used to be called Keep Fit. No one calls it that anymore. But when I joined my first Keep Fit class, and I realised that it was my responsibility now to move my body, none of these messages. I don't know if this is a failing, particularly in Britain. I think other countries do it differently.
Yeah, there is differences, certainly, but I think ultimately the message hasn't been there very much at all. And even today, it's still trickling through. Look at the changes that came about through COVID and the lockdown, and the emphasis and certainly the realization by a lot of people of the difference in how they felt when they were getting outside, because that was the only thing you were allowed to do.
Right.
That meant you weren't stuck inside the four walls of your house with people who might be irritating you, or maybe on your own. So
Right.
yeah, but that did really trigger for a lot of people the fact that, oh God, when I go outside and walk and I'm outdoors, I feel so much better, and I don't want that to stop when
Right.
normal life post-COVID returns. So, I think it showed that for a lot of people, for the first time, that, it wasn't about, oh, I have to exercise because I have
Right.
to lose weight, or I have to
Right.
do what other goal they think that, they need to be I guess, as good as everyone else, because that's
Yeah.
that belief I'm trying to break down, which a lot of women especially have towards the health, is that it's like a means to an end. It's like, if I go on a diet, then I'm going to look like that, and that means I'll feel the way I want to feel because I see the other people who are successful being like that, or with exercise or other things. So I think, yeah, it's trying to change really deep down at the very, very, well, the seed, not even the root, of what health means and why it's so important. And a big part of what I do is raise an awareness of the risks that we are facing to our health. We are basically facing an epidemic of poor health because of our lifestyle. And, this is again something that did become a bit more known through COVID, because of the pressure that put on our health system and healthcare and professionals and so on. And it was kind of but hang on, we do have an even bigger crisis coming because of our overall general health, not because of the pandemic, but because of our lifestyle and risks, to health through like heart disease, dementia, diabetes, things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, my brain is still wondering whether colder countries have more of an issue, but then I'm thinking, that doesn't correlate, because countries like Canada, they're extremely active. So I don't know. I don't think. I think there may be something to the fact that in England it's always raining, but but still, there's always gyms. But let's get into these five, the five healthy habits. What is your number one? The delay is bad.
So the number one, the biggest thing is to start by putting yourself. Oh, can you hear me, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, there was a bit of a delay there. So I'll just keep going, but if there's any sound problem, let me know. So the biggest first tip that I would give is to make sure you are on your business plan, because as a business owner, you're likely focusing on all of the things that you think are going to bring in the revenue and help you achieve your targets and goals. And it's going to be things like your social media planning, marketing, how to sell, maybe, some personal development work on something like imposter syndrome. That's a popular one, or money mindset's another one. But where are you on your plan and in your goals? Because without you, you don't have a business. That's fact. And there's kind of two things I say here. One is that you end up pushing and spending a lot of time, maybe even money as well, on getting support and coaching on all of the things you think you need to hit your goals, but you don't hit them because you're so stressed, you're struggling, you're not in a good place from an energy point of view, you're stressed, perhaps hit burnout, which we see a lot with entrepreneurs. Or the other thing is that maybe you do start hitting some of your goals, but it doesn't feel as good as you thought it was going to feel. When you hit the things you deemed as success when you started out, you hit them and go, but this isn't good. And probably because you are working so many hours and you just feel pretty crap overall in yourself because you aren't strong and in a good place from your well-being. So put you on your plan is the first tip. Then the second tip is around mindset, because mindset is everything. It sits in the center of my 5 pillars of wellness. I have mindset, movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress. But mindset is so important because you need to have the right type of mindset to make any change happen. Otherwise, you're going to resist it. You're going to struggle to implement, build new habits. So the second tip is to think how you would like to feel healthier, so that you can get your mindset into a place of, imagining the way that it would feel when you are healthier, when you have put some of the habits in place to take better care of yourself, and start to build that mindset of, yeah, that's how I want to feel. This is possible for me. That growth, optimistic, abundant type mindset. So that's the second tip. And then the other 3 tips I'm going to give are much more tangible day-to-day ones that I think can be implemented, really quickly. So the third tip is about moving your body. We've talked about that a lot. It's very important. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs stay sat down all day. We tend to work long hours. Lots of us work in the evenings. We take very little breaks. So think about how you can build movement into your day. And I'm not talking about workouts here. Workouts should come if you aren't doing any right now. That's something we should all be building in to our lifestyle, especially strength workouts to protect our bones and muscles as we age. But I'm just talking about movement. So, for example, if you spend a lot of time sitting down, can you set a reminder to move for 5 minutes every hour? Or if that's not possible, can you do 15 minutes every 3 hours? Can you get up and just take a break? If you can get outside to do that, brilliant. But maybe it's just something like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to make sure that I move around while I'm scrolling on social media or taking a phone call or a meeting or something like that. So that's the third tip, is trying to move as much as you can throughout the day. Sorry. And just build that into your, lifestyles, that it becomes a habit rather than just staying static. The fourth tip is to drink water. So stay hydrated. And again, it's very easy to just plunk yourself down at your desk and forget about everything other than what's on the screen and getting your social posts out and following up with clients and so on. So think about how you can stay hydrated throughout the day. Okay, not just a glass of water at 4 o'clock. Brilliant. Sarah's got a flat stare. Exactly. That's a really good way to do it. And I've got my water bottle here.
I just like
So I
it's big
fill it
enough. This
up.
is like a gallon, and that's it. I don't need to fill it up again.
Yeah. Yeah, so do whatever works for you. I always finish that one by lunchtime, then I finish another one before I start making the evening meal. I always have a hot water when I first get up in the morning with some lemon juice in. So hydrate, it's really important for good brain function. So, when you are losing that focus and energy, which can happen in mid-afternoon for a lot of people, it often is because we're dehydrated. So just making sure that you're hydrated. And then the fifth one is to think about what stresses you out. Okay. And think about how you can become more aware of when you do get stressed and what it is that's triggering your stress. Because the 5 pillars that I mentioned, I have them as a diagram. I've got 5 circles, a bit like a Venn diagram. So the 5 circles are overlapped because they all impact one another. So, stress, for example, massively impacts how you then sleep. It impacts what you eat. It impacts the way you move. It changes your hormones in your body. It obviously, will have an impact on your mindset. So, just start by getting curious about what it is triggering your stress. And that's a really good habit to build so that you can then start to move to the next kind of habit, which is okay, I know what's triggering the stress and I can see when it comes up and maybe if there's some pattern there as to what can I do next, because we want our stress to be very normal, where yes, we get bouts of stress because we all need stress. That's how we function as humans and how it helps us to perform. But we don't want to be constantly in a high rate alert state of fight or flight, because as I say, that's going to impact so much in the rest of your overall health. So that's a really good habit to start to build around curiosity with what your stress levers are.
And then what comes like what comes after the curiosity? Like once you've found out what
So
stresses you out.
yeah, so then it's about replacing it. So if, for example, you get stressed when you see the number of emails you've got in your inbox, that's one that I think a lot of people struggle with. And you realize that when you are working and maybe you go back to your inbox or you see the number at the bottom of your screen, like I've got a little red circle with how
Circle.
many emails I've got. Yeah. A lot of people get really stressed, like, oh my God, I've got that many emails. But you don't realize that that's something you're doing. So when you've built that realization and you're aware, then it will be, okay, how can I manage that stress? So for example, do I close my inbox down and not have it open while I'm doing certain tasks so that I don't get stressed about seeing the number there? Sorry, I just need to have a Sorry about that. I've got hay fever and I've got really like
Oh,
sticky phlegm, when you get all bunged up with the hay fever. So I'm a little bit
nasty.
congested today.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
we've had a really and so the pollen count's quite high today, but now it's cloudy. It's gone really high with the pollen. Um so then you work on replacing it. So, you look at, okay, is there a way that I can, manage my inbox, for example, so that emails go into certain folders so that I don't even need to look at those folders on a regular basis, or that it, filters out more of the junk. And I could have perhaps a folder that then at the end of the week I look at. And if I don't need anything, I unsubscribe from those
Mm.
people, those. So it's just kind of awareness is first and then it's replacing it so that you're building a new story. And what
Yeah.
happens as you start to do that, that will become your new habit. So that rather than your brain automatically doing what it does now, where it sees the number and goes straight away, you're at a 10, like, oh my God, I've got so many emails and I've got so much to do, and your stress is raised. You go to a place of, well, that isn't there now, and I know the emails I've got are the ones that are important, or I know that I have a designated time in my day, and that's when I look at them. And then when I look at them, I feel calmer because I've given that time to manage my inbox. So, that's obviously just one example of where you might replace something. It could be that you're
Yeah.
stressed when you haven't eaten, that you realize you're not eating regularly. And then you get stressed because you go, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock and I haven't eaten yet. And now I haven't got time. And so, it could be anything. It could be lots of things. But it's just about then starting to replace that with something which would help to reduce that stress and create a new habit so you don't have that really hand fight or flight response on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think that idea that you mentioned a while back of putting an alarm on your phone really works. Personally, it works for me because I'll very often get to like 5 o'clock, realise that I haven't thought about dinner, and then just fall to pieces. And so I haven't, I mean, it annoys me, the alarm on my phone. I'm like, all right, stop nagging. But there is an alarm that reminds me to stop working and go think about prepping dinner. Because otherwise it just wouldn't happen. And I find like I need these little kind of nagging reminders to kind of give me a bit of a push, because I don't find myself like motivated enough. Like, I know there's an online class that I'm meant to attend at 8:15 every morning for my own good. Once I've done it, I enjoy it. It's a workout. But if I don't have that alarm on my phone with 2 reminders, so it gives me like a reminder half an hour before and then another one 5 minutes before, just in case I'm thinking of chickening out. That's made all the difference for me, because I'm always fascinated by these people that say things like, I get up at 5 in the morning and go to the gym. I'm like, I'm asleep. Like, what? What are you doing? So yeah, I just like, you have to find what works for you. It does.
Exactly.
These methods don't work for everyone.
Yeah, and what I will add on to that, Sarah, is that I talk about building your own wellness toolkit, and I talk a lot about it not being a one size fits all. Yes, there are things that are kind of the foundational piece of health and well-being, like nutrition and movement and sleep and stress and your mindset that I focus on. But how you bring those into your life will vary from one person to the next, because you have to do what works for you and what you need the most. So if you are someone who knows their diet is very low nutritionally, if you're really struggling with energy and you know that you're having a lot of foods which are probably not helping with that, like a lot of refined sugars and carbohydrates or a lot of just snacky things, then you're going to focus on nutrition. But then there might be someone else who thinks, actually, I'm okay and I'm pretty comfortable. I could be better, but I'm not wanting to focus on that right away. But I do want to focus on movement, because I know that in a week I barely move, except when I'm moving to make the evening meal, for example, or going out in the car to then drive somewhere, but I'm really not doing anything. So we can't do it all. And this is something I've shared on my podcast and in blogs, actually, about kind of this perception of perfectionism that a lot of people have towards health, again because of what we've been shown culturally and on social media and so on, that we see these people who we think are the ultimate example of health and well-being, and so we go, well, I can't do that, so what's the point? They're doing it all. They're fine because they've got money and they've got time on their hands, or they've got a nanny for the kids, or whatever it might be, because obviously many people are looking at celebrities who might be living that kind of life. So we go, well, that's not going to happen for us, so what's the point? I'll just keep going as I am and put up with this. But that's not how it needs to be. Even if you can only manage 15 minutes 5 days a week of getting outside for a walk, even if you can only do 1 day a week initially, that is much better than doing no days a week and no minutes of movement. So we've got to make it realistic and what we want and what we need, and that's a big part of what I do, is focusing on your why. Why do you want to change and be healthy? Why does it matter to you?
Yeah, and I see this arbitrary number thrown around of 10,000 steps, and I realized, like, I don't know if my stride is like what I have quite a long stride. So for me to take that amount of steps, I'm just like, it's just so much out of my day, and it's really hot outside. So I set a goal on my watch of 6,000 steps, and I still have to walk quite a lot in order to hit that goal. And someone somewhere, I can't, we read so many things and listen to so many podcasts, was just saying, like, what's wrong with going outside for half an hour to walk? Like, who said it has to be 10,000? Like, that would be nice, but also a half hour walk is great. So, like, now I feel I have
Exactly.
permission.
Yeah. And the 10,000 steps, again, I've listened to this and heard it on different podcasts with different scientists and doctors. It was plucked from thin air originally. You know, there was
Had
no
a feeling.
evidence behind it. Yeah. And it was just given as a guide, really, as, something that would help people, and was linked a lot to devices being brought into our lives, trackers and things that obviously then have a commerciality behind them that the brands want to sell. So, it's, oh, you can track your 10,000 steps. And a lot of people now are not focusing on that. I don't focus on 10,000 steps a day. I just focus on as many as I can and just moving regularly. And, I work out, and sometimes my workout is using dumbbells, and I might be, I'm not even gaining many steps while I'm working out,
Right.
but that's fine. Yeah. So you're right. You do what works for you. If someone was regularly only doing maybe to even 5,000 steps a day, I would say that is very limited. If you want to be healthier, you should try to up that a little bit, but you don't have to push yourself for 10,000 a day. But again, there are people who do that. I know a lot of people who will not go to bed unless they've
Yeah.
done their 10,000 steps, or even
Yeah.
20,000. There's a lot of people actually do 20,000. But again, what they say is you kind of, with walking, you plateau. And so you aren't necessarily going to gain any more physiological strength from the walking as such, unless you change the walking and you're regularly challenging yourself by going up steps and banks and hills and, faster and different things like that. But obviously it is going to still help overall with being healthy, and certainly it's a huge benefit to your mental health when you're walking outside. But if you're wanting to progress and get fitter cardiology wise, then you need to be doing more, keep pushing yourself and progressing all of the time.
So we need to, like, get past 10,000 steps. That's what you're saying at some point.
If
Yeah.
if you wanted to become fitter, if you wanted to keep improving your cardiovascular health, and gaining more from it, then you need to. It's the same with, even with any, do the same 3 workouts a week for 10 years, and you are going to hit a point very early on where you don't gain really anything else from it. You're not going to change anything in your muscle. You're going to keep good muscle density and bone density and health, but it's not going to progress. You have to keep challenging yourself physically in different ways to improve your cardio or strength, health.
So do you have accountability to someone, or you're doing this all out of pure self-motivation?
Yeah, I'm just accountable to me. And it's an interesting question, actually, because I'm not somebody who really needs accountability. I've always been a person with a lot of self-integrity, and that's, I guess, just part of my personality and characteristic that has helped. I wouldn't say it's always been easy. I wasn't someone who always went to the gym and always worked out. Not at all. I did not like exercise. I did it from my mid-20s when I started at Nike, but did it as a means to an end to lose weight. That was my doing it. And so if something else came up, then that I would rather go to the supermarket or the pub, than the gym for lunch. That was for sure. But yeah, I am accountable to me. I have on the wall next to me, I've got a big piece of paper roll that I start out the week with, and I put on, what I get to do that week rather than what I have to do. So that's a little mindset trick, approach, like, what do I get to do this week? And underneath that, I then put how I move my mind and body. So I plan out, Monday through to Sunday, how I'm going to exercise. I look at my calendar, see what I've got in, to see, whether there's any restrictions for when I might be able to exercise in a day, and something for my mind as well. So I guess, I've got that there, and it's a way of being accountable. But for me, it's a habit, and that's the thing about habits. That's their power, is when you form these habits, they are your identity through those habits, because that's who you are. So I'm not having to remember to work out or to move, because I've created habits that mean, without thinking about it, I regularly move around. I do have a standing desk now. I've only had it about 2 months. That's been a bit of a game changer. But I just sometimes do knee raises while I'm working, or I do some, big arm swings and things. So it's just, I've just built these things in where I'm not having to remind myself now, or feel like I've got to report to anyone, even a tracker or something, because that's just how I live and who I am.
That's amazing.
Mm. But
Amazing.
but but I know for a lot of people that, when I work with people, they are right at the beginning. And so, for a lot of people, working with a coach is that way that they get accountability, because they've tried umpteen times on their own and just can't make the habits stick. They can't get the results they want. A lot of it is self-belief, which is why I opened with what I do, is really focusing on your self-belief and self-worth, because I know when you get healthier, you feel stronger, you value yourself, you have that belief of your capability, and what your life purpose is, and so on. But a lot of people start with belief systems of, I'm not someone who can eat healthy. I'm not someone who's able to keep exercising. I'm not somebody who can run or swim or even, walk. Some people like, oh, that's just not for me. It's for others, but I'm not one of them people. And it's amazing, those beliefs that we have that hold us back from something we want so much.
Yeah.
People want to feel better, and everybody's here pretty much to live a great life. We all want to have nice experiences, memories, joyful times, to feel more at flow and ease, than having to push, hustle, stress, and then think, oh my God, where did the last 5 years go? And I'm still not enjoying this.
Yeah, this is wonderful. This is so wonderful.
Mm.
Um, I am gonna wrap up now, but do let us know also, like in the comment section of this live afterwards, put up all your links and everything, and where people can find you in all the places. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so I like Instagram the best, to be honest. I have tried to come away from Facebook.
Are we
One of
connected
those
there?
things that
Yeah.
it just, yeah, I'm on there, but it's really impossible to be on every platform as a business owner when
Yeah.
you are working on your own. So I'm on Instagram as Life Now Coaching. I'm on LinkedIn as well, because I do work with
That's
businesses
it.
and corporates. So I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but I love Instagram stories. And I have my own podcast, Live Healthy Now, which has just had a new episode come out today, which is all about resilience and, yeah, knowing why your health is a priority and being proactive rather than reactive, with a great guest who sadly was diagnosed with cancer at 31, and then she's been diagnosed 3 times. She's only 40, but just, her story of how she felt she was pretty healthy and did have some awareness, about taking care of herself, but then realized actually there was a lot that she wasn't focusing on. And she talks a lot about that mind body connection, of the importance of understanding it mentally and physically. So yeah, lots of different episodes, all trying to help you build your own healthy habits and lifestyle.
Fabulous. I could carry on asking you questions all day, but I will. I usually try and wrap it up at around 40 minutes. So thank you. Thank you so
Oh, you're
much.
welcome. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. And if anyone's got any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll be happy to help.
Amazing. All right. And anyone watching on the replay, please let me know that you're watching this. I know lots of you catch up afterwards because it's the middle of the day for us. All right, Nicola, have a good day. See you soon.
Thanks, you too, Sarah. Bye.
Bye.